When I was really little, I had probably a more vivid imagination than most. And it lasted for quite some time. I actually truly believed for a long time as a kid that I could be whatever I wanted. So if I wanted to be an astronaut, when I was a little kid, there was nothing, no one was going to tell me ever that I couldn't be that. Why can't I be one? And my imagination took me to those places. So I really, really believed strongly. I was very fortunate to have a household and an upbringing which allowed me to be able to sort of expand my imagination in those ways and never get shut down. I went to a place called school, and school wasn't kind to me. School was a place that I felt took me away from my ability to imagine. I had mild dyslexia. So things like reading were really difficult for me. And when I was exposed, I felt embarrassed, I felt ashamed, and back then, the teachers didn't help with that. They kind of reinforced in my mind that I wasn't as good as the other kids. So school for me put me in a position where I started to doubt myself a lot. I started to doubt who I was as a person, and I started to doubt what I could do. When I was home, I could be in my imagination. When I was at school, I was in hell. I hated the place. Lunchtime was good, but being in the classroom was terrible. When I went to high school, got into year 10 and 11, I was basically told, mate, you better do something with your hands because you're not academic. Like, this went on right through high school. The amount of times I think I got told by teachers that I wasn't going to amount to anything. The trouble is all the things that I thought about when I was a little kid and imagined being weren't things to do with your hands. I didn't dream about being a carpenter. I didn't dream about being, a bricklayer. But these are the things that I was being told I had to do. So it was a very difficult time for me. This was reinforced again by the bosses I had. Okay, none of the bosses I had early in my days were very nice people. None of them really showed me anything that helped me develop any self-confidence or any sort of belief in myself. I don't know what it was that kept me believing somewhere deep down that there was more to me than that. I can't put my finger on it, but there was just something in me that always just said, there's more to me than what everybody's telling me. There's got to be more to life than this. What am I going to do with my life? What can I do that I'm going to enjoy? So I went down to the Career Reference Centre in Adelaide, and I remember finding this folder, and it said, youth worker. And I thought, what's that all about? Youth worker. And you work with young people to empower them, you go and do recreational activities, you go on camps with people. Man, that doesn't sound like work, that sounds like actual really good fun. So I got my Cert 4, started working as a youth worker, and that was good for a while, until I realised that that had its ceiling as well. I was then exposed to social work students in the places I was doing youth work. Social work students were really, really interesting people. So I decided to then go to uni. Now this is a kid who went to school, who couldn't read. I suddenly decided to go and do a social work degree. So I remember the first assignment I got through, I managed to scrape through with a P2, and a P2 is like 51%. And I remember someone said to me, oh, Paul, go down to the student support services, they'll help you, learn how to write essays. And I remember going down there and lining up in the line and going, what am I doing here? I felt like that dumb kid again. And I remember walking away from that going, I've got to work out a way to do this on my own. I thought, I'm going to hang out with the smartest people in my course. I'm going to sit with them at lunchtime. I'm going to go to study groups after uni with them, and I'm going to learn to be smart from them. Well, I was a youth worker at that point, and these guys had not done anything in the field. So I was able to actually contribute to the discussions through my experience. So there was this trade-off. In my second and third year at uni, this kid who couldn't read, was told he was never going to be anything, made the Dean's Merit List 2 years running. That's the top 15% of the faculty. Not because I could read really well, but because I was so determined to make it happen.